Did you know that unexplained itching in certain spots could be your body's subtle warning about cancer? Most people tend to dismiss an occasional itch here and there. But for older adults, especially those over 60, persistent itching in very specific areas might be more than just dry skin or irritation. It could be your body sending you a message you simply cannot afford to ignore. In this video, we will uncover 5 very particular itchy spots on the body that may signal cancer, sometimes months before any other symptom arises. These are not random itches. They are patterns doctors have repeatedly observed in patients later diagnosed with serious illnesses like lymphoma, pancreatic cancer, and even breast or skin cancer. Stay with me until the end, because we're not just listing body parts. You'll learn the deeper reasons behind each itch, why these areas become irritated, which cancers they're linked to, and how to tell the difference between a passing skin issue and something more serious. You'll walk away knowing what to watch for, what questions to ask your doctor, and what steps to take if any of these signs sound familiar. Most importantly, this is not about causing alarm. It's about awareness. The earlier you notice these quiet signs, the better your chance to catch something before it becomes more difficult to treat. Let's begin. Sign 1. Persistent itching on the calves. When older adults start experiencing a relentless itch on their calves, especially on the front or sides, without any rash, dryness, or new soaps or lotions to blame, it might be tempting to dismiss it as simple aging skin. But this very specific symptom has quietly appeared in many people diagnosed with blood-related cancers, particularly lymphoma. This is not the kind of itch that comes and goes. It lingers. It often worsens at night and doesn't respond to moisturizing creams like typical dry skin would. The reason lies in how cancers such as Hodgkin's lymphoma affect the immune system. These cancers begin in the lymphatic system, a crucial network for the body's defense and drainage. As cancer cells multiply, they release inflammatory chemicals into the bloodstream. One of the most common effects of these chemicals is a deep, almost burning itch that settles in the lower limbs. Even if the skin looks perfectly normal on the surface, the nerves beneath are being irritated from within. There is a gentleman named Samuel, 78, who shared his story during a local health awareness seminar. He said his only symptom for nearly half a year was an uncontrollable itch on his calves. His doctor initially suspected eczema or a reaction to laundry detergent. But when blood tests revealed abnormal white cell counts and scans showed swollen lymph nodes in his chest, the diagnosis became clear. The itch had come first, long before any other signs. Stories like Samuel's are not uncommon. While not every itchy leg means cancer, the key difference is how the skin responds, or fails to respond. If there's no rash, no new soap, no insect bites, and the itch has persisted for weeks, it's time to look deeper, especially if accompanied by other subtle signs like night sweats, unexplained fatigue, or weight loss. For older adults, this awareness becomes even more vital. As we age, our bodies tend to send distress signals less obviously. Pain may not come immediately. Tumors may lie too deep to detect by touch, but nerves still react. A deep, persistent, restless itch is often one of the first signs. If you or someone you love has been scratching their calves every night, applying creams without relief, and wondering why nothing works, don't ignore it. Speak to a doctor, ask for blood work, describe the pattern. Sometimes the body whispers long before it shouts, and listening closely can make all the difference. Sign 2. Itching between the shoulder blades or upper back. There's a very particular kind of itch that appears deep in the upper back, right between the shoulder blades, often overlooked or dismissed as poor posture, dry air, or even the tag on an old shirt. Yet for many older adults, persistent itching exactly in this spot, especially when it feels like it's coming from beneath the skin, has been connected to pancreatic cancer. Strangely, it often shows up months before any noticeable pain or digestive troubles begin. At first, this link may seem unusual. How could an internal organ like the pancreas cause itching high up on the back? Here's the explanation. As pancreatic tumors start to grow, they can block the bile ducts, those tiny tubes responsible for carrying bile from the liver into the intestines. When this drainage slows or stops, bile salts accumulate in the bloodstream. One of the earliest effects of these excess bile salts is irritation of nerve endings, often in areas like the back, where the body houses a dense network of sensory nerves. I recall a woman named Margaret, 72, who described what she called a phantom itch on her upper back. She found herself waking up every night to scratch it. Nothing helped, not lotions, back scratchers, or even changing her mattress. She said the sensation felt as if it was coming from inside. When she underwent blood tests due to unrelated fatigue, her liver enzymes were elevated. This led to imaging scans that uncovered a small tumor pressing on her bile duct. The frightening part? That persistent itch was her only symptom. No pain, no yellowing of the skin, just a deep, nagging feeling she couldn't ignore. And she caught it early because she spoke up, even though it seemed like a minor complaint. This is why that specific area matters. General back itching can result from dryness, pressure, or friction. But if the itch is focused, relentless, and doesn't improve with skin treatments, especially if you notice darker urine, pale stools, or fatigue, it could be a sign of something deeper happening inside. The back becomes the messenger, even when the root problem lies in the gut. For older adults, these subtle symptoms are easy to dismiss. We don't want to sound alarmist, but your body is wiser than you realize. When it sends the same signal repeatedly, it's worth paying attention, even if it's just an itch. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please type 2 in the comments below so I know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss future videos. Your support enables us to keep creating valuable content to inform and inspire you. Now, moving forward. Sign 3. Itchy scalp without visible flakes or dandruff. An itchy scalp might seem minor. Many older adults chalk it up to dry air, aging skin, or shampoo that doesn't quite agree. But when the itching becomes persistent, especially without dandruff, redness, or flaking, it can sometimes signal something deeper beneath the surface, including blood-related cancers like leukemia or skin cancers affecting the scalp. What makes this itch different is that it often feels more like tingling, crawling, or burning rather than mere dryness. It may move from one spot to another and usually doesn't respond to anti-dandruff shampoos or moisturizing oils. For those over 60, such sensations may indicate nerve irritation caused by abnormal immune activity, something that occurs when leukemia cells multiply in the blood and disrupt the body's regulation of inflammation. There was a gentleman named Thomas, 74, who noticed his scalp itching every afternoon. He switched hair products, suspected his hat, but even after removing the hat and changing shampoos, the itch remained. When he finally had a full blood panel done for unrelated fatigue, doctors discovered abnormally high white blood cell counts. A bone marrow biopsy confirmed early-stage chronic lymphocytic leukemia. His scalp had been the first and only place signaling trouble. What's especially important is that many older adults already experience some degree of dryness or sensitivity in their skin. So when an itchy scalp feels normal, it often gets ignored. But cancer-related itching is distinct. It's resistant. No cream soothes it. No product calms it. It lingers, nags, and often seems disconnected from any visible surface problem. While leukemia isn't the only concern, skin cancers that develop on the scalp, especially where hair thins, may begin as nothing more than a small itchy patch. Sometimes it looks like dry skin or a tiny bump, but if it keeps itching in the same spot and refuses to go away, it should be examined under proper lighting by a dermatologist. Since the scalp can be hard to inspect alone, it helps to ask a spouse, caregiver, or hairdresser to check regularly. If you have an itch that's lasted for weeks without relief, and nothing you try eases it, that's your sign to look deeper. Especially if you're feeling unusually tired, bruised, or just off in a way you can't explain. It may seem small, but sometimes the smallest, most stubborn things tell the biggest stories. Sign 4. Localized itching on the chest or breast area. When older adults, especially women but also men, notice persistent itching around the chest or breast, particularly near the nipple or just beneath the breast, it's easy to attribute it to sweat, a tight shirt, or even age-related thinning of the skin. Yet this specific area is one of the most overlooked spots where itching may indicate something far more serious. Inflammatory breast cancer or other tumors growing close to the chest wall. What makes this sign unique is that it often appears before any lump can be felt. The skin may feel warm, irritated, or tight. Sometimes there's a change in texture, slightly rougher, thicker than usual, or tinted with a subtle redness. But just as often, there is no visible change at all, only a deep, persistent itch that refuses to go away no matter what creams or lotions are applied. I remember the story of Helen, 71, who noticed a strange itching sensation around her left breast. She tried changing bras, switching detergents, even going without a bra for a time, thinking it might be friction. But the itching stayed, always in the same spot every day. When she finally went to see her doctor, the physician noticed slight dimpling of the skin and ordered further tests. What they found was a small but aggressive tumor close to the skin's surface, without the typical round lump most people expect. This is why inflammatory breast cancer can be so dangerous. It doesn't always follow the usual rules. It can mimic a skin rash. It can spread quickly. And often, the earliest symptom is not pain, but irritation. That's why paying attention to itching that stays localized, doesn't improve with moisturizers, and returns day after day in the same place is crucial, especially around the breast or chest. For men, it can be even easier to miss. Male breast cancer is rare but does happen, often going undiagnosed because the signs don't fit what most men expect. An itchy patch near the nipple? A small area of thickened skin or a persistent twinge under the chest muscle might not sound alarming, but for someone in their 60s, 70s, or 80s, it deserves closer examination. There's more. This type of itch isn't always about cancer growing in the breast itself. Enlarged lymph nodes under the arms or just below the collarbone, signaling lymphoma or another nearby malignancy, can also cause similar symptoms. So if the itch comes with swelling, warmth, or even a vague sense of heaviness, don't wait. Early detection doesn't always start with fancy machines. It begins with awareness, with listening closely, with noticing quiet patterns that feel out of place. Your skin cannot speak, but it can signal. And this is one of the most important signals not to ignore. If you're still watching and finding this helpful, please type 4 in the comments below so I know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Your support allows us to continue creating content to inform and inspire. Now, let's move forward. Sign 5. Persistent itching in the anal or genital area. Few things are as uncomfortable and as often ignored as itching in these sensitive regions. It's a difficult subject, especially for older adults, and many prefer to brush it off rather than discuss it openly. But when this kind of itching becomes chronic, without obvious causes like hygiene issues, infection, or irritation, it may be trying to draw your attention to something far more serious. In some cases, persistent itching here can be an early, silent symptom of anal, vulvar, or penile cancer. What makes this itch particularly dangerous is its ability to disguise itself as something minor. Many assume it's dry skin, a reaction to toilet paper, friction from walking, or even a side effect of incontinence products. And sometimes it is. But when the itching lasts for weeks or months, returns regardless of how much you clean or moisturize, and starts to feel raw or burning rather than superficial, it deserves closer examination. There was a man named Leonard, 77, who dealt with what he thought was hemorrhoid irritation for nearly a year. He tried creams, changed his diet, used cold compresses, but the itching never fully went away. Eventually, a colorectal specialist performed a scope exam and discovered a small lesion on the anal canal wall. It turned out to be an early-stage tumor, something that would have grown silently had he not trusted his gut feeling that something wasn't right. The same applies to women. Vulvar cancer is relatively rare, but becomes more common after age 60. One of its earliest signs can be a recurring itch on or near the outer genital area. There might be no lump, but the skin can feel rougher, slightly discolored, or thinner than usual. Many older women attribute this to hormonal changes or post-menopausal dryness, and sometimes that's true. But if the itch is relentless, worsens at night, and resists typical treatments, don't dismiss it. This area of the body is rich with nerve endings, highly sensitive, and often signals internal changes before more obvious symptoms appear. Whether it's a change in skin cells, nerve inflammation, or swelling in nearby lymph nodes, chronic itching in this region, especially if it's focused on one side or a small spot, can be a red flag. Yet most people hesitate to speak up. They fear embarrassment or worry they're overreacting. But silence is far more dangerous than curiosity. Speaking out about an itch may lead to early detection, better outcomes, and peace of mind. The key takeaway: if an itch won't go away, don't assume it's normal. Let a healthcare provider take a look. Catching something early, even something as serious as cancer, often starts with noticing something small, something subtle, and choosing not to ignore it. As we come to the close of this video, I want to leave you with one simple truth. Your body is always trying to communicate. Sometimes it speaks through pain, other times through exhaustion, but often it starts with something so small, so subtle, that we easily overlook it. A persistent itch that keeps returning to the same spot. The 5 areas we explored today, the lower legs, the upper back, the scalp, the chest, and the genital region, are not random locations. They are places where serious internal issues, including certain cancers, often begin to send their first quiet signals. For older adults, learning to recognize and listen to those signals can mean the difference between catching a problem early and allowing it to grow unnoticed. This isn't about living in fear. Far from it. The purpose of this video is to empower you, to remind you that your instincts matter, and that what might seem like a minor symptom could be your body quietly asking for help. If any of these signs sounded familiar, don't brush them off. Bring them up with your doctor. Start the conversation because you deserve answers, and above all, peace of mind. Thank you for spending this time with us today. We would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing one thing you learned and how you plan to use that knowledge in your life. Your thoughts mean a lot to us, so please don't hesitate to share. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support allows us to continue creating quality content to inform and inspire you. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.